In November and December 1865, shortly after the end of the Civil War, Southern states sought to control their large populations of newly freed black people. Laws were passed authorizing the arrest and jailing of blacks. These laws became known as Black Codes. They typically applied only to blacks and criminalized acts that were not offenses when committed by whites. On November 24, 1865, Mississippi passed a Black Code declaring that all freedmen, free Negroes, and mulattoes found without proof of employment or found unlawfully assembling themselves would owe up to $50 in fines and serve up to 10 days in jail. As a result of Black Codes, the post-Civil War era brought American black citizens more contact with the criminal courts and prison systems than ever before. As the former Confederacy learned to use the criminal justice system as a tool of racial control, countless black men, women, and children were convicted and sentenced under unjust laws that criminalized them for existing as free black citizens.
Okay.
Good evening.
Good evening.
We're gonna try something different this evening. Cornell is going to he's hosting tonight's show, and I'm going to be his co-host on tonight. So I'm going to turn it over to Cornell.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am, for having me on your show tonight, ma'am. Tonight's show is Let's Talk About It. Good evening to all of my listeners and viewers. Thank you very much for joining us on tonight's show. My name is Cornell Drummer, the founder of the Free Texas Campaign and partner of the Crew Podcast and a co-host of Let's Talk About It. My co-host tonight is Miss Shanette Johnson, the founder of Let's Talk About It and the host of Let's Talk About It. Okay, I'm also joined, excuse me, get your back. Before we get started, please let me announce a disclaimer to certain contents you may hear and see tonight. Should there be any content that you will hear and see tonight that contain any statistics or language of racial ethnicity that may be offensive, please know that the views and opinions of the author thereof are not the views and opinions of the host and the co-host of Let's Talk About It. Let's Talk About It is a syndicated talk show, brought to you by Mrs. Angela Thomas Smith, a visionary and aspiring book writer and author, a founder of the Free Texas Campaign, a founder of the Crew Podcast, joined with the powerful minds of everyday hardworking people, advocating on your behalf and providing a platform for the families and the men and women incarcerated behind prison walls to share their stories and experiences with the criminal justice system here in the United States. However, Let's Talk About It as a platform that seeks nothing but the truth, freedom, justice, and accountability for all. So if you're just now joining us, we would like to point out that for the past few weeks, we have been talking about what's wrong with our criminal justice system and how do we fix it. We talked about the juvenile system and the psychological evaluation process. We talked about the plea bargaining system, and we talked about the law enforcement. We invited some guests to join us and to share their experiences with us on how they have been affected by the criminal justice system. This past week, we invited a female friend named Mrs. Shanetте, a co-host of the Crew Podcast. Her son, a 17-year-old named Antoine Roberts, who had a history of psychological mental disorders, was wrongfully convicted and sentenced to 25 years as a law party. So an aggravated charge in Atlanta, Georgia, he did not commit. Because of the details of her story, we decided take this matter to the protest. So she gathered a form of people together to try to find out what was going on with her son and why he was not given a psychological evaluation and why was he convicted for a crime that he did not commit. Well, this information, the judge in this case, Mr. He ended up transferring to another district court, but not as a result of the protest. So as a result of this, here it is, subsequently, another complaint was filed against him by a white female who had been raped and killed. Well, a white female for saying kill, my bad, who had been raped. What had happened is that the individual who committed the crime against her, he was let go. But little to her knowledge, she did not realize it until she realized that this county and these judges was dropping and dismissing cases against defendants without their knowledge. So now here it is, come to find out the judge was displaced because of a budget cut, not because of the complaint filed against him by this individual, nor the complaint filed by Mrs. Shaneria about her son being wrongfully convicted for a crime he did not commit. The problem with this, ma'am, is that our system is broken, and that kids and defendants are being wrongfully convicted as a result of, prosecutor misconduct, judge donation campaigns, and all of these problems that are affecting our criminal justice system. So with this being said, this individual, Antoine, he should not have been convicted because he was never given a psychological evaluation. In order to be prosecuted, you have to be mentally competent to stand trial. So what happened is that his lawyer knew that he was mentally incompetent and failed to file a motion for a competency hearing. The judge had a duty to provide a motion to the county to issue an order for a psychological evaluation hearing. But little did we know this judge had a history of being racial against African Americans. So now with this being said, the judge told Mr. Antonio Roberts that he was going to make an example out of him. Why? Because Mr. Roberts refused to plead guilty for a crime he did not commit. And lo and behold, Mr. Roberts went to a jury trial and was found guilty and given the maximum punishment of 25 years. So now with this being said, we have a problem in our criminal justice system where racism is playing a major role in how certain individuals are being processed through our criminal justice system. Okay. So the question, is there two different criminal justice systems? One for blacks and one for whites?
Yes, it is.
So I would like to turn it over to my co-host and see if you have any questions regarding this matter.
Well, I just got a message from Shamaria. She's going to be joining us tonight. We're just waiting on her to come on. And I seen a couple of videos. She sent me a couple of videos of the protesting that they did on behalf of her son, her nephew, and some other young men. And one of the videos, it shook me up. I heard a mother say that her son was standing around with his hands in his pocket. The video showed that he wasn't doing anything, and that it just shows that her son just standing there with his hands in his pocket. And Judge Patrick sentenced him for standing around with his hands in his pocket. I'm just reiterate that because I couldn't get over it, the sentence. And I know you guys probably be in disbelief as I was. He sentenced that child with 45 years for standing around with his hands in his pocket.
Wow.
But the other person, a lot of people say is that race doesn't play a part of it. Race plays a big part of it, because the other person that was involved or that was around, or the main person, was white. I believe he was juvenile, and the Judge Pratchett showed him leniency. How do you get 45 years standing around with your hands in your pockets?
That's impossible.
Cornell,
That's
how you
impossible.
get 45 years with your hands in your pocket?
Okay, ma'am. The issue with that process, ma'am, is the fact that we have these judges who feel like they are above the law. Why? Because a judge cannot be sued, and anything they do cannot be questioned. So if a complaint is filed against a judge, in this instance, like this case right here, then a complaint is supposed to be processed through judicial conduct committee. But because these people have been getting away with this for so long now, nobody is reporting these judges. Nobody is reporting these district attorneys. Nobody is reporting these lawyers. As mentioned in last week's show, ma'am, the criminal justice system is a multi-trillion-dollar enterprise, ma'am. And that over 70 million people are tied up and incarcerated within our criminal justice system, either on parole, probation, or locked up in our criminal justice system. And with this being said, ma'am, there has to be a margin of error. With thousands of individuals being wrongfully convicted for crimes they did not commit. Thousands of individuals being denied the rights afforded to them by the United States Constitution. Mr. Antonio is an example of that, man. This individual has a history as a kid for having psychological mental problems. And the judge never had no concerns as to whether or not he was competent enough to stand trial as an adult. Therefore, with this being said, he did not even commit the crime. He was just there. So he's serving 25 years just because the court failed to protect his rights to due process and equal protection of the law. So this is what we got, a problem of judges, lawyers, and district attorneys not doing their jobs, man.
Well, in a minute, I'm trying to wait for Samaria to come up, and so we can play that video where we will see the same judge that sentenced Samaria's son and gave the young man 45 years for standing around with his hands in his pocket, how he dismissed over 100, I believe the article say over 1,000 cases, that he got rid of them.
Yes,
they some mysteriously disappeared. And within this, while Samaria, we had a conversation, she was telling me that, Channel 6 out there came and interviewed them while they was protesting out there, but none of their footage got played. It was not brought up in the newspaper. It was not played on, it was not televised or anything. But here you have this young lady talking about her case, and it's televised. And and I just don't get that. The more I research and the more I see, the more I learn about our criminal justice system. I already knew it wasn't created for us because of how I seen it when my son went into the system. My son got his first case as a juvenile, and it was at school. His teacher, a white lady, I'm gonna just put it out there. You can call me whatever you want to call me, but I'm gonna just put it out there. We had a meeting one day, and my son was I believe he was in the 12th grade. No, he was in 11th grade. And the lady said to me, where I live at, people will want to know why your son don't have a probation officer. That's what that woman told me. So I kid you not, less than 2 weeks later, my son behind her because she said she was in fear of her life, that my son had threatened her, He threatened to go out there, put her car on a flat, and whatever. That's what she told the school. And my son was arrested. And
Okay.
that's when he got his first probation officer, experienced juvenile hall when he was in 11th grade. I mean, we go through
Mm-hmm.
so much as parents to try to keep our kids on a straight and narrow. We have um, teachers or whatever role, you know, tarnishing their future, and that's what I believe she did to my son. Samaria is here. Hello, Samaria. How are you?
Good. How you guys doing tonight? Can y'all
We're
hear me?
doing good.
Oh,
We didn't me and Cornell been talking about um your son's case and your nephew's case all week, and I mean, we just been talking. So I know Cornell want to jump in, and he have a couple of questions. And I just want to say this. Did the judge? I mean, I know I heard what I said, and I just lady child 45 years for just with her with.
hands in it. Uh huh. Yep. That same. Yeah. That
Can
same
you hear me,
judge gave.
Samaria?
Um. Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Okay. Yes, that same judge that sentenced my son also sentenced another lady's son. And gave him 45 years just with hope, just with his hands in his pocket, just because he was there, I guess, with the other guys. But on the camera, it shows that her son had his hands in his pockets, and the judge still gave him 45 years.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, the same judge.
Can I ask a question, please?
Go ahead. This is
Yep.
Okay, Mr. News. Okay.
Yes, sir.
When you and these other mothers realized that something was wrong with your system, that these judges was not playing by the rules, okay, and
Mm-hmm.
are you the one who initiated it and organized a support group to access this on the doorstep of the courthouse?
I actually tried a lot of different things about the judge, but everybody's kept knocking me down, and I would go to the courthouse and try to talk to someone who's higher than him, which I know now that I understand that a lot of times you have to do paperwork. You can't just go in the courthouse like that and want to talk to that judge, his boss over him. So I tried. I think the other ladies tried a lot of different things on this same judge, but something about this judge that a lot of people were scared of. They were scared of, and they wouldn't go against him.
Okay. Did y'all ever speak to an attorney about this judge to know that y'all had a case that y'all could file a complaint with the Judicial Conduct Committee about the judge? Did anybody give y'all that information? Or
Nobody
did
never
y'all
gave,
know?
no, nobody never gave us that information and never told us those things.
Okay, so as of right now, here's what the situation is with your son's case and other cases. Right now, what we're going to end up doing, man, is petition for new trials for all of these kids. Why? Because of the simple fact that you have a lot of people who are making the same complaints about
Yep.
this judge. And
Yep.
because of that, the administrative judicial regional judge, Anthony Kennedy, he has an administrative duty. And his duty is to submit a complaint to the Judicial Conduct Committee. So as of right now, ma'am, that complaint is still a valid complaint. Why? Because you and these other mothers have the same complaint. Now, for your son, I don't know what papers he filed in court where it's processed at, if he did a direct appeal, if he did 1107 or whatever, but as of right now, he cannot be in the prison system, man. He was in Texas. He cannot be in the prison system. Why? Because he was denied of his right to a psychological evaluation and a competency hearing by that judge. So now for anybody who was denied of that same right, whether they black, white, green, or whatever, all of these cases are no good, man, because they were denied the Supreme Court's precedent of a psychological evaluation. So as of now, with that process, man, you have a standing right now that you can seek to have a petition drawn up for your son to be given a new trial. And anybody that's listening to this, if they son are in the same position, they kids are in the same position, they can do the very same thing. For United States constitutional rights, man.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, we work so hard at it. And I gather all those mothers up. Because I work. Huh? I couldn't hear you.
Did Cornell wanted to know, did your son file a direct appeal?
My son will file his own appeals.
Did your son file a direct appeal?
Did he appeal his conviction to a higher court, man?
He did. They denied him. They denied all his appeal. And the sad part about it, he was in a mental. He was going through a crisis. Yeah, he was going through a crisis, and they still denied him.
Okay, well, as of right now, here's how we have to get him back in court, man. Okay, he filed 1107, I'm assuming. Okay, and that he challenged his conviction. Once you challenge it one time, the only way that we can get back up in there is to file newly discovered information or evidence. So now with this process, he can always file a motion for denial of fair trial based on denied psychological evaluation and denied the right to competency hearing. So with that being said, that's where we're at right now. Me, you, and Miss Shanette and Angela, we're going to process this motion for a new trial based upon denial of psychological evaluation. That's the automatic new trial for him. Okay?
Okay.
Yeah, because they violated his rights.
They did.
That okay. I sent you the article that I found. That they violated his constitutional right and Georgia's law. That's the judge, once you ask for them to have him evaluated, they were supposed to honor that.
They didn't.
But they dismissed it.
Yep.
So once the judge dismissed it, then there's a violation of his constitutional right.
Yeah, and not only that, inside the courtroom, when all this.
Do you have other people who were?
Go ahead, Samaria. I couldn't hear you.
I was saying inside the courtroom, when my son was on trial, after they made a ruling, the DA stand up. Wait a minute. Oh, Jesus, I thought somebody was coming in here, but I'm home by myself. Yeah. Oh, Jesus. I'm sorry, y'all. I just heard my door open up like that, and I'm home by myself. So that was my husband. Jesus. Yeah, I'm good. So the DA, like I
Oh,
said,
okay.
I'm sorry, y'all. So the DA ended up standing up. Like I say, they was all white.
That's okay.
It was, and the DA stand up in front of my family, um, and the judge, and this is what she said out her mouth. She looked at the judge and told him, "Make a example out of my son." She told that in front of everybody in the courtroom. Told the judge to make a example out of him. So the judge looked at her and said, and she said, "Make a example out of him, give him life." That's just what she said. And the judge looked at her and said, "No, I ain't gonna give him life, but I am gonna give him 25 years." So they played around with my son.
What?
Yeah, they played around in our
So,
face.
okay, that's statement right there would be reported by the court reporter. Right?
What was that, Cornell?
Does she know if that statement right there was recorded by the court reporter?
It was recorded by them.
It was recorded.
Okay, good. That's a good point because see that statement right there is a statement that you use about the biasness of the judge.
Yep.
Why? Because the judge cannot make a statement based upon the district attorney's request. Therefore, because the judge is new, he cannot comment or inject any information about what he would do, by making an example out of anybody. Why? Because your son had a jury trial, didn't he?
But they waited till the jury left to say that.
Didn't have a,
They didn't say it in front of the jury.
They didn't say it in front of the jury. Was the jury? What was the makeup of his jury?
There was older people. A lot of people. A lot of people was getting up.
Okay. We're gonna go to the commercial.
I-team cracking open cases a local judge slammed shut before they ever made it to trial.
Some just because they're old, others because the suspect was never arrested. And that's not all. Even our I-team's Meredith Anderson was surprised at what she uncovered when she took a deep dive into thousands of charges that basically disappeared. It all started with one case and a suspect on the run for years. The victim wanted to know how a judge could just dismiss his charges after a grand jury indicted him on 2 counts of child molestation. Turns out her case wasn't the only one closed. Thousands of other charges were wiped away too.
It's hard knowing I'm not the only one in this situation now too.
But Aspen LeBlanc never once got upset talking to us about Edgardo Cosia. She forgave him years ago.
Not for him because he doesn't deserve it, but for myself because I couldn't keep harboring that hatred for him.
But she can't forgive how a judge seemed ready to forgive both of his charges of molesting her when she was a little girl. Because, according to his order, nothing has happened with the case since 2010. There's been no trial. Cosia's never been arrested. It didn't take the I-team long to find where he is, though. He's pretty active on multiple Facebook pages. But we also found something else. After sending open records requests to clerks of court in Richmond, Burke, and Columbia counties, we received lists of thousands of charges connected to other cases, all dismissed around the same time Cosia's charges were dropped. We had to go case by case and then comb through corresponding records, so it took us weeks to weed through them all. But early on, we noticed a pattern.
Got like 10 Pagets right here.
Judge Paget, Judge Paget, Judge Paget.
Paget.
Every single Superior Court case dismissal had the name of a single Superior Court judge, Judge Wade Paget.
If you deserve to go to jail, you will go to jail.
News 12 sat down with Judge Padgett in 2009 when he was transitioning from Columbia County's chief magistrate judge to a superior court judge.
The problem is that I'm afraid sometimes we don't enforce what we say we're going to do. If we don't intend to enforce it, then don't say it. But if you say it in the courtroom, if you make it an order, I expect you to comply with it. And if you fail to comply with it, I take that very, very seriously.
But the I-Team found a number of cases where it appears Judge Padgett did not comply with orders he or other judges made. Take Eric Dwayne Bennett, for example. A 2019 court transcript shows he was facing 40 years in prison for drug trafficking and weapons charges. But Judge Cheryl Jolly put it on the dead docket, or on pause, for 6 years. If and only if he met a number of strict conditions, like not getting arrested for violating any laws, moving out of the area, and turning in all weapons, the case could be closed on December 31st, 2025. Well before that date, Judge Padgett dismissed it, basically saying nothing has happened, so case closed. Just 2 weeks ago, Harlem police arrested Eric Dwayne Bennett on drug and weapons charges. His address is in the Augusta Judicial Circuit, and that charge was for a stolen gun. Here's one for a 2016 armed robbery, aggravated assault, and weapons charge, dead docketed just a few months later after the victim didn't show up to court. Case closed. 3 child molestation charges, dead docketed on the promise the suspect would have no contact with the victims until December of 2021. Judge Padgett signed the dismissal 7 months before that, with the seemingly cut-and-paste response pretty much identical to other dead docket dismissals. One rape case was dismissed, and the victim tells me no one ever told her, which, according to Georgia law, is supposed to happen. Aspen LeBlanc says no one told her case was dismissed either. She called about it when she noticed Kosia no longer had an active warrant online.
I'm at the same address that the crime happened at. Like, you're telling me you couldn't find me? Like, I got married at that courthouse. Like, I'm there.
Then there are dozens and dozens and dozens of cases the I-Team counted and entered into a spreadsheet where suspects were indicted on everything from shoplifting to trafficking and manufacturing meth, but were never arrested. So you guessed it, case closed. To be fair, there are a number of cases from the 90s involving misdemeanors or cases where the suspect has died or where victims no longer wanted to prosecute. But from what we found, those weren't the majority.
They make you lose faith in the system.
Yeah.
Judge Padgett declined to interview with the I-Team for this investigation, but his judicial assistant sent the I-Team several emails where Padgett discussed his plan to get rid of old cases. In one memo dated April 10th, he answers the question, why? Among his reasons, the pandemic. He writes about lost work time due to COVID. He also references the fast-approaching circuit split. In just a few months, Columbia County was set to break off from Richmond and Burke counties in the Augusta Judicial Circuit. Cleaning up the docket, he says, makes a great deal of sense. Judge Padgett goes on to say the Superior Court judges all agreed that addressing the existing caseload in all 3 counties would be helpful. I volunteered for the assignment. While the I-Team couldn't find any other judges listed on the email sent to us, we did find one staff attorney for one other judge, Judge James Blanchard, listed. Everyone else works for the Public Defender's Office, Clerk of Court, Probation Office, District Attorney's Office, or Court Administration. Still, this shows Judge Padgett told multiple people he was doing this, and even provided lists. He asked people to speak up if any cases should remain open. The court administrator for the Augusta Judicial Circuit tells the I-Team some cases had some discussion, but he doesn't remember anyone objecting to any of the cases being dismissed.
Did someone just put a bunch of cases in front of you and be like, you know, these are all really old, sign them off, and you just didn't care, so you just kept going?
Just this month, Judge Padgett was named to a short list of candidates to the Court of Appeals to the state of Georgia. The governor's office is in the process of scheduling interviews. As for Aspen, after the I-Team started asking questions and requested her case file, the newly formed Columbia County District Attorney's Office found a loophole, and a grand jury re-indicted Edgardo Cosia. District Attorney Bobby Christine also tells the I-Team re-indictment was possible because the judge dismissed without prejudice, meaning the case could be brought back and prosecuted at a later date. We checked. All the cases are dismissed that way.
I'll go look at the court dockets and see if it still exists.
Meaning, there might be hope for your dismissed case, too. If you wonder if you might be like Aspen, we are posting the list of cases we got through our open records request, so you can check through it and see if yours was dismissed. If your case is on that list and you think it's there in error, or if you want to bring it up again, you can call your local district attorney. Again, these dismissals are not set in stone. They can be brought before the court again.
I-Team cracking open cases a local judge slammed shut before they ever made it to trial.
Some just because
a local judge.
Well, thank you, ma'am, for that clipping, ma'am. And that's very, very interesting information because it shows a pattern of a criminal justice system, court system, judges, who are actually, committing news violations of conduct. And nothing is being done to him. And everybody knows that this judge is one that is a biased judge. So with that being said, now with this clipping, it demonstrates that a lot of cases can be reopened as a result of his conduct. Mm-hmm. No matter how long it's been, who we have to follow with, this case right here, every case that judge has touched can be reopened. And I would encourage for anybody who has a family member convicted under that judge to file for a new trial for their family member. Anybody.
Well,
for a support group, come, man.
Well, he's retired. He announced that he'll be retiring December 31st of this year. In a couple of weeks, he'll be retiring.
Okay. Yes, true. Okay, but that do not eliminate the problem. The problem still exists. So the problem is that right now, for anybody whose child has been convicted in that county court under that judge, have a right to a new trial as of right now. And all we have to do is either get a support group together and demand for all these cases to be reviewed by either that district attorney's office or file a change of venue from that county to another county to prevent a conflict of interest. And to have all these cases reviewed based upon prosecutor misconduct, judge's misconduct, attorney misconduct, and whatever misconduct that has been committed against these individuals that has got people sitting in prison, man. And they will give y'all a new trial right now because you got articles, you got clippings of this judge. He didn't do anything. They got investigations on them.
And then you have the reporting of him making him an example, the statement.
Yep.
Of what the prosecution said. And you have that. So that should be besides the that's it's so many errors that you see and that you hear that happen within his case. I was looking at an article today where it was saying that that once the maximum, I guess like if they do life or the maximum sentencing go away, then you won't have the public, the prosecution coming in there telling them that they need to take a deal. If you don't take this deal, then we're gonna stretch you out this long. It's like they threatening these young people into cutting the deal. And it's not, why should you, if you're innocent of all charges, Why do they force you to make a deal, take a deal? Why is that, Cornell?
Okay, first of all, ma'am, she mentioned something a while ago that struck me. Okay. The attorney is a public defender, ma'am. Okay, now, this attorney knew that this individual, Antonio, was innocent of the crime and that he was being prosecuted or charged under the law for it. So instead of, and then not only that, the lawyer knew that he was mentally incompetent to stand trial. So with that being said, why would the lawyer encourage him to waive the jury and take this case to the judge? Why would you do that? What attorney would do that knowing that his client has psychological problems or mentally incompetent to stand trial? Take that to the jury and let the jury consider whether or not the verdict that they give is basically against the great weight of the evidence. So that means that the lawyer was also involved in this corruption with the judge.
They was.
That's why they waived the jury.
Yep. And now that DA.
That's what happened.
Yep.
When you mentioned that a while ago, I understood.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that DA and that public defender.
So
Ms.
that
Kelly,
did it right
they're
there.
no
That
longer
sealed the
there.
deal.
They
That's why
left.
the lawyer never made the motion. Don't that make sense, missionary? Don't that make any sense?
It makes sense, yeah.
I think we.
Yeah, it makes
And
sense.
that's what happened, man. So that's why the judge did your son and your nephew and them like they did, man, because the lawyer, the public defender, is a part of the operation.
Mm-hmm.
The public defender is being paid under the table to bring these kids in court and put them in harm's way before the judge
Wow.
by waiving the jury. Happened, man. So as of right now, you got an issue called ineffective assistance to counsel on the public defender. And you got a case called abuse of the discretion of the trial court judge. And both of those issues are under the fact that your son was never given a psychological evaluation. Those are automatic public defender. And anything that's connected to the judge, that's a federal investigation, man, because that's corruption and bribery. That's a federal investigation, so that's where you at.
Do you know
You know
where the public defender is?
The lady
Did she also leave, or that person
yeah,
also leave the
yeah,
county?
they both left. The DA and my son who Kelly, who was his public, they both left. They no longer there. They left. Kelly, I heard that she left a year after my son got sentenced.
Do you know if they followed Judge Pratchett? If they went where he was at, where he resided at?
I'm pretty sure they probably went with him. I'm pretty sure.
Okay. Well, let's find out. We're going to find out. Okay. That's what we're going to do. We're going to track them down. And if there's any of these public defenders, you know, that's corruption. Okay. I'm from Bear County here in Texas. And a judge named Mr. Angus McGinty. You can punch his name up. Angus McGinty. And attorney Albert Acevedo. They did the very same thing that we're talking about right now. And the federal FBI had to get involved in this. Why? Because these are court officials. Anytime you deal with court officials, that's federal. It's not state. So with that being said, man, if that public judges by waiving the jury trial is one of corruption known as the judge is biased, especially against African Americans. Mm-hmm. That's a federal investigation to Ms. Shanette and Ms. Angela, so that this way, ma'am, you can go ahead and start processing your situation with the and I'm going to get information from you about the history. Okay, I'm gonna need the history from you regarding, you know, his situation as far as like, you know, on his appeal brief. If you got a copy of his appeal brief, If you got a cop of this 1107, those are the two documents where we will get the heat. As far as the law, we got that. We got everything else we need. And that clipping that you got, we're going to use that against the judge to show why we are demanding for a new trial.
Yeah. And then I
Okay?
never understood why when we did our protest,
Because
the local Augusta Chronicle came out there. Yeah, they came out there and it was there questioning us and everything, and right now and everything, video and everything. But I didn't understand why it never hit the news with us. But when it's when it's somebody another color says something about this judge, it hit the news. So I never understood. To me, I'm just being honest. It's racist. It was a racist thing.
Well, well, ma'am, you know what? The truth is the truth. One thing about it, you can't add nothing to it and you can't take nothing away from it. Ma'am, you know what racism look like, ma'am. And this, and for anybody who's listening to this show tonight, we want for everybody to understand that this show is not about racism.
It's not.
This show is about nothing but the truth, freedom, justice, and accountability. That's what this show is about. Because people may think that, oh, y'all talk about black this and black that. The truth is the truth. Y'all just heard articles and clippings from people that's done thorough investigations into the criminal justice system. And African Americans are at the top of the list of those being convicted by white judges, by judges, period. So with that being said, this show is not about racism. We'll help anybody who got a situation with the criminal justice system. So for anybody who's willing to come and come to the Let's Talk About It show and talk about your situation, we invite you. We invite you. And that's what we would do. So for anybody that's listening to this show tonight, we thank y'all for coming. We thank y'all for listening in. And that's what we're here for.
Because if you look at it, we don't show clippings and we don't prove the statistics. All you have to do is Google it. All you got to do is research it, and it's there. It all started once after the Civil War, when the economy went down. What they started doing, they started arresting African American men just for standing around. Just look what they did to the lady's son. He got his hands in his pocket and he got 45 years for standing there. So they was doing that back after the Civil War because the economy went down. Okay, now we can even go look at it when COVID hit. They sending out all this money and stuff, trying to rebuild the economy. Check the numbers of the how many the incarceration rate back then with juveniles and adults. Go back, do your research. Just don't take our words and do your research, and you'll find out. You will see it. You will see that we're telling the truth, and that's all we want to bring forth is the truth on the wrongful convictions, the over sentencing and stuff. Mr. Legate. Look at Mr. Legate. Sebastian. Those are not men of color. Go on and on and on. This why it's so important. I am so glad, Shamiria, you sent us this clipping, because this is so important. Because why? Tomorrow we vote. If you have not already voted, get out there and vote. Make sure you look at your judges. You see what this judge is doing. Look at your DA. Look at everybody. Just don't go through there and check them off like I'm gonna read. I got to get back to work, so I'm gonna just go down the line and I'm gonna vote Democrat, Republican. You can vote Democrat and still get somebody in there that's gonna do you wrong. So you better read your stuff. You better do your research.
That's true.
And we and start praying, because we don't know who we gonna get in that office tomorrow. Be out at the voting places is going to be hectic tomorrow, people. But get out there and vote.
Yeah.
That's all I got. I just want to just ramble. Cornell,
No, ma'am, you're
Shamiri.
good. Miss Shanettie, is there anything you want to add to this round before we close out tonight?
No, I just want to thank you guys for, just kind of bringing it back up, because it did dial down a little bit. But I just thank you guys for bringing it back up, because I truly believe that not only my son, but I believe other mothers' sons also need to be saved from this, and how we can have bad judges. And I said again, and you right, it don't have to be we got our own kind that do us wrong. So it don't have to always mean another color judge,
Right.
because a lot of them, once they get in office and they know they got the power to do stuff, they mistreat our people. So I don't know. I just thank you guys for bringing this all back up, because a lot of people need to hear it.
Well,
And see,
okay, well, ma'am, first of all, come on, Miss Shanettie, come on.
I just believe that we all need to come together. We're fighting the same thing, and we have to make our voices heard. We look at our ancestors, what they did. The we can do much more in numbers if we come together. If we say enough is enough and mean this, like, no, you're not supposed to do our children like that. You're not supposed to continuously take our spouses away from us over wrongfulness. You want to give us some programs, just like you putting in your neighborhood. Bring some programs into our neighborhood. Bring some more jobs back into our neighborhood. Why the men in there rehabilitating, whatever you may say they in there doing, give them some job skills. If offer them different stuff so they can come out and be able to compete. If you're not offering them anything, they have to start. They starting over. They starting from the bottom and they trying to work themselves up. So just people, come on, let's get it together. Let's come together. Let's drop the colors, because we're all together. We're supposed to be as one, and we need to fight this system as one. This is all I gotta say. I'm gonna turn it over to the host of the night, Cornell.
Thank you very much, Miss Shanettie, ma'am, for having me on to it. Thank you very much, Miss Shanettie, for coming on. Ma'am, first of all, like I said, we want to thank you very much for even sharing your story, because your story is what's wrong with our criminal justice system. Your son's case is exactly what we need to have addressed. Because if he done that to your son, just think of how many more kids he done that to.
Ooh, true.
And they don't have a voice. They don't know which way to turn. They don't know nothing to do. Your son is trying to work on his case by himself, because he know one thing: he's innocent. He did not commit the crime, and he's trying to learn a system that's broken. He's up against a brick wall, man. So now, thank God that Mrs. Angela Thomas Smith with the Crew Podcast, is Shanette Johnson with the Let's Talk About It show, has come that we can use to be a voice for those in need of a voice that's incarcerated behind the prison walls. So with that being said, ma'am, I would like to encourage you that in the future, very soon, ma'am, that we can use this news clipping that you have, and we can eat and build a petition for a new trial. Off of that clipping that you have against this judge, for anybody who is convicted by that judge, ma'am, all you have to do is new trials for everybody who is convicted under that judge. And we would take the criminal to the governor and every news station in that state, and we're going to request for new trial or a thorough investigation into everybody's case in that county. So that's what I would like to encourage you to do, ma'am. You know, I know you're busy, ma'am, and have other things going on, but that's where we will be. And if you got any family members, any mothers that got kids locked up and convicted by that judge, if you can find them, reach out to them. We're going to draw up a petition. It's going to be an online petition, ma'am, if we can, and that's what we're going to do. And see if we can get them to come out. And like Shanette said, that's power in numbers, man. We're going to have our voice heard because we're not going to let it go. Okay?
Okay.
And in the process, I will be building the petition for your son's case. Okay? So tell him to stop filing like that. Okay.
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 All right.
We stand shoulder to shoulder.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
All right,
Okay.
Cornell. So you are very welcome.
Yes,
You
ma'am.
know, if it's anything we can do, Shamiria, just let us know. If we need to protest, come down there and just stand on the Capitol before he retired, have our own retirement party with him, you know, without going to jail, because I'm not built for that just yet. Not even. I'm not going to even say that. I'm not even built for jail. But
Yes, ma'am.
you know, we can do a lot with numbers. We can
That's
do
right. We
a
can do
lot
that.
with numbers. And since their media don't want to come out, hey, Angela said we're going to start our own media. We have our own media coverage out there.
So there we go. Right. There we go. We got what we need.
Yep.
Yeah. So Cornell, we got 5 minutes. If you want to, go ahead and take us on out of here.
Okay. Well, thank y'all very much for coming on the show that's dedicated to bring awareness to the families of incarcerated individuals, those that are locked behind prison walls without a voice. Let's talk about it. It's very dedicated to what we do. We do this because we need to do this. This is what we have to do. Why? Because we have our kids in these prison systems being convicted by these judges of corruption, the DAs, the prosecutors, misconduct, the lawyers taking bribes and stuff like this. And here it is, these kids don't understand that they are being trapped into a system of corruption. And with this being said, it's hard for them to get out of it. So with this being said, they depend on people like them to have and create a voice for them, the platform, so that they can have a voice. So with this being said, for anybody that's listening to this show tonight, remember this. Let's talk about it. It's not a racial talk show. We're here for anybody who got a story to tell. Anybody who got their family members that's incarcerated needs their story to come and let's talk about it. And we will address your case, and we will investigate your case, and we will make sure that we get the answers that we are looking for to get. We will demand for that. So anybody, again, tonight that's listening to this show, get out and vote. If you know you got crooked judges in your courthouse, vote them out. If you know you got crooked DAs, vote them out. Please get out and vote. Tomorrow is a very important day, like Ms. Shanette said. We have to vote. Because if we don't vote, we will always get the same thing over and over and over again. So thank you, Ms. Shaneria, for coming on tonight, ma'am. And like I said, we will stand with you, ma'am, on this situation. And for anybody that you know that's in the same position, reach out to them, have them to come on and be about, let's talk about it. And we will be there for you, to be there for them. So thank you, Ms. Shaneria, for coming on. Thank you, Ms. Shanette, for having me on your show tonight, ma'am. And like I said, I enjoyed it there. And anytime I can be your man, please let me know. So thank you very much. And you keep doing what you do, Ms. Johnson, because you are a voice that we need. Okay? Thank you very much, ma'am.
And on that note, you guys have a blessed, wonderful week. I will see you guys on, I believe, Saturday. I have a special tribute to my son. So I will see you guys then. Have a blessed week.
Thank you for using security.
God bless.
Goodbye.